The 1979 Bianco S is an amazing sports car from Brazil. It was made by Toni Bianco, a famous race car designer. This car shows how creative Brazilian car makers were, especially when it was hard to buy cars from other countries. Back in the mid-1970s, Brazil had rules that made it tough to get foreign sports cars. This gave local designers a chance to make their own cool cars. Toni Bianco, who was born in Italy but lived in Brazil, saw this as a good opportunity. He had already made Brazil's first Formula 3 race car, so he knew a lot about fast cars. Bianco showed off his new car, the Bianco S, at a big car show in São Paulo in 1976. People liked it because it looked like fancy European cars but used Volkswagen parts that were easy to find in Brazil. This made the car both good-looking and practical. Bianco's small company started making the cars by hand soon after. They worked hard to make sure each car was really good quality. Even though they were small, they could make about 20 cars every month. That's pretty impressive for such a small company. The Bianco S was made with strong plastic and fiberglass, which makes it light but tough. The car has a smooth, curvy shape that helps it move through the air easily. It has a big windshield that lets you see really well. The front of the car has 4 headlights down low, which look cool and help you see better at night. The backlights came from another popular Brazilian car called the General Motors Opala. Inside the car, it's both stylish and comfy. There are 2 bucket seats that hold you in place well. The dashboard and controls were made just for this car. The steering wheel has a wood rim that looks fancy. The seats are covered in vinyl, and there's carpet on the floor to make it comfortable. Even though it's a sports car, it's still nice to ride in for short or long trips. The Bianco has some cool features that were pretty advanced for its time. It has power windows, which were a big deal back then. The wheels are made of aluminum, which looks good and helps the car handle better. Under the hood, the Bianco S has a Volkswagen engine. It's a 1,600 cubic centimeter flat 4 engine that's cooled by air. It has 2 carburetors to make it run better. The engine makes about 65 horsepower. That might not sound like much now, but it was pretty good for a sports car back then. The car also has a 4-speed manual transmission. And with this engine and transmission, the Bianco S can go from 0 to 62 miles per hour in about 17.7 seconds. It can go as fast as 91 miles per hour. That was pretty fast for a Brazilian sports car in the late 1970s. And if you are enjoying this video, please subscribe. My channel is new and needs your support to grow. The Bianco S might not be the fastest car ever, but it's fun to drive. It's light and the suspension is set up well, so it feels quick and easy to steer. Lots of people who like driving enjoyed the Bianco because it was both fun to drive and looked cool. Over the years, many people who own Bianco S cars have made changes to make them even better. There are special shops in Brazil that can make the cars faster and better to drive. This has helped keep the Bianco S popular with car fans. Bianco's company didn't make very many of these cars. They made about 20 each month, and by the time they stopped in 1979, they had only made about 320 cars total. This makes the Bianco S very rare, and people who collect cars really want them. Even though they didn't make many, the Bianco S was really important for cars in Brazil. It showed that Brazilian car makers could make cool cars, even when it was hard to get cars from other countries. People in Brazil still love the Bianco S today. In recent years, people outside of Brazil have started to notice how special the Bianco S is. Car collectors around the world now want to buy them. This has made the cars more expensive. For example, someone was selling a Bianco S for about $33,000. And sadly, the company had to close in 1979. They had money problems, and people in the company were not cooperating with each other. Even though they didn't make cars for very long, the Bianco S became one of Brazil's most famous sports cars.